An alien girl said, "Learn, my child." The desert of Island Vara shimmered like molten glass under its twin suns. From orbit it looked empty, just another sand world, but the human freighter nomad's wake knew better. It was here for something ancient buried deep beneath the dunes. Alien ruins that hummed in impossible frequencies. Commander Rian. Vale hadn't expected to find a person waiting there when the ship's scout drones sent back images of a figure standing alone on the plain. The crew thought it was heat interference. The air rippled like water around her. But as the freighter descended, she didn't move. Didn't flee, just watched with still, patient eyes that glowed faintly green under the glare of the suns. When the hatch opened, the wind came first, dry hiss carrying the faint scent of ozone and copper. Rian stepped down the ramp in his dust armor, visor gleaming gold. The figure waited 10 meters away. She was unlike anything in the archives. Skin pale emerald with a soft inner luminescence that pulsed to the rhythm of her breath. Hair black blue, falling like liquid shadow. Her clothes a weave of metallic silk, half ceremonial, half practical, clung to her frame like light around stone. But her stance wasn't proud. It was weary. Rian stopped 3 paces away, hand hovering near his holster out of instinct. "Identify yourself," he called, voice amplified over the wind. The alien woman tilted her head, studying him as though weighing language itself. Then she spoke slowly, carefully in Galactic common, her accent soft and crystalline. "I am Alira of the Cathari Vale. I waited for a human." Rion blinked. "You waited for? You called us here." "No," she said, voice quiet. "I waited because one of you would come. The currents said so. The stars whispered a path." He didn't answer immediately. His team was fanning out behind him, scanners chirping, drones hovering like cautious birds. "Why are you out here alone?" Her gaze flicked toward the horizon. "Because I can no longer protect what was mine." She stepped aside then, and the sand shifted, parting as if obeying her, beneath her feet. A small chamber opened in the duna spiral hollow of blue glass leading downward. Inside, something glowed faintly gold. Rion tensed. "What is that?" "My child," Alira said simply. "Sleeping, waiting to learn." The crew froze. "Your child," Rian repeated. "Down there?" "Yes." She looked at him now, directly. "The Cathari are not what we were. Our world burns above us. The storms took our teachers, the machines forgot their songs. I cannot teach her what she must know to survive." Her voice wavered not from fear, but from something heavier. Centuries of exhaustion. Rian took a cautious step closer. "And you think I can?" Alira's lips curved a knot, a smile. "Not quite. You build things that live. You fail, but you try again. You make noise, and somehow it becomes progress. Humans learn. That is what I need for her." He looked into the spiral chamber, watching faint golden light flicker below. "How old is she?" "She has not yet seen a sky," Alira said. "She dreams the songs of her ancestors, but she needs more. She needs friction, conflict, mistake." Her eyes brightened. "She needs a human teacher." Rian exhaled. "And what if I say no?" "Then she will still wake," Alira said. "But she will wake alone." A silence fell between them, filled with the restless breath of the wind. The idea sounded insane, an alien mother entrusting her child to a stranger, another species entirely. But Rian had been through a dozen wars. He'd seen planets where the only teachers left were ghosts. There was something raw and familiar in the way she said it. He nodded once. "Show me." Illyra descended the spiral, her light tracing the glass steps in rippling blue. Rian followed, feeling the temperature drop with each turn. The chamber opened into a wide crystalline cavern, humming softly. In its center lay a small pod, half-grown, half-built like coral fused with circuitry. Inside, curled in luminous stillness, was a child, not human, not yet alien skin, translucent gold, veins of light flickering under the surface. Rian whispered, "She's alive. She is learning," Illyra said. "The pod feeds her the memories of the Cathari, but it cannot teach her choice." Rian crouched near the pod, his reflection broken by its smooth surface. The child's eyes fluttered behind her lids, as if dreaming. "What's her name?" Illyra hesitated. "We do not name what we cannot guide. That is your first lesson, human, to give her a name." He looked up sharply. "Mine." "No, she's your I am leaving," Illyra said. The words hit him harder than the heat outside. "What? The veil calls. The storms are growing. If I stay, they will find her. You will not." He rose, anger edging his voice. "You can't just walk away and expect me to." Her eyes softened. "I can, because that is what humans do. You care even when you shouldn't." She reached out, touching his wrist with light fingers, the faint hum of her skin like distant thunder. "Teach her to make noise. Teach her to build something that lasts." And before he could protest again, she turned. Her body shimmered, breaking into streams of light that twisted upward like ribbons of aurora. Within seconds, she was gone, dissolved into the air, leaving only her echo. The cave was quiet except for the child's pulse thrumming softly in the pod. Rian stared after her, chest tight, mind reeling. Around him, his cums crackled, his crew shouting over interference, asking where he was, if he was alive. He didn't answer. He stood there for a long moment, then looked down at the pod again. The little creature stirred, a faint light blooming beneath her ribs, heartbeat sinking to the rhythm of the planet. Rian sighed. "Guess it's just you and me now, kid." He knelt, placing his hand against the pod's glass. "All right," he said softly. "Lesson 1. If you're going to make noise, make it mean something." The golden light pulsed in reply. Above them, far beyond the dunes, the twin suns continued their slow, patient orbit, and somewhere on the horizon, the wind carried a faint whisper in an alien voice, one that said only, "Learn well." The child who learned to build the suns had shifted twice before the pod opened. Rian didn't sleep much in that time. He scavenged power couplings from his wrecked freighter, rigged a field shelter at the mouth of the cavern, and tried not to think about how absurd the situation was. He wasn't a parent. He was a systems engineer who fixed things that screamed when they broke. Now the thing that might scream was a child. The pod sighed at dawn. A petal of crystal folded outward, exhaling cold mist. Inside, the small body moved, stretching, blinking against the light. The child's skin was no longer gold, but a living bronze, threaded with veins of light. Her eyes, when they opened, mirrored Illyra's, deep green, curious, unafraid. Rian crouched beside her. "Hey there," he said quietly. "Easy, you're safe." The child studied him, head tilting in a way that was painfully familiar. Her voice, when it came, was soft but clear. "You are the teacher, apparently," Rian muttered. "And you're the student. I have no name," she said. He thought of what Alira had told him. That is your first lesson, human, to give her a name. He glanced around the glowing cave, at the thin shafts of sunlight bending through the glass. Lyra, he said finally, means song where I come from. Seems to fit. Lyra, she repeated, testing it. The sound echoed off the walls like a new frequency finding its place. I will learn. 2 weeks later, the camp had changed. Solar panels lined the dunes like metallic leaves. Inside the cave, a collection of human tools and alien crystals shared the same bench. Lyra moved among them with fast, precise curiosity, half child, half scientist. She absorbed information faster than Rian could produce it. Circuits, languages, the way to coax energy from the desert's thermal gradient. But she didn't copy. She adapted. One morning, she found a cracked stabilizer coil Rian had been saving for parts. It hums wrong, she said. May I fix it? He nodded absently in. 10 minutes later, she handed him a new form of converter that worked at triple efficiency. Rian stared at it, then at her. You changed the polarity matrix. She smiled, the faint glow along her temples brightening. I learned from your mistakes. Of course you did, he said under his breath. That evening, they sat outside the cave entrance, watching lightning crawl across the far horizon. Lyra tilted her head, listening. The storms have voices. They'll have teeth if they get closer, Rian said. We'll need stronger walls. I can sing to the sand, she said. He raised an eyebrow. Like your mother. I hear her song in the wind, Lyra said quietly. It tells me to learn from you, to build. She paused, then added, do humans build to survive? Rian considered the ruined freighter, the humming panels, the little home they'd carved from nowhere. At first, he said, then we build to remember. Remember what? That we were here, he said simply. The storm comes, dusk, the horizon turned black. The scanner screamed warnings, winds exceeding 200 clicks. Ion surges spiking beyond shield capacity. Rian grabbed the anchor lines, barking orders out of habit, even though Lyra was the only one to hear them. She didn't run for cover. She stood at the cave's edge, eyes glowing bright green, humming softly. The sand around her began to rise in gentle arcs, forming translucent ribbons. Rian felt the air pressure shift. The ground itself was answering her. Lyra, he shouted. Inside. She shook her head. You said humans build to remember. So we build. The sky cracked open. Lightning clawed across the desert, striking the dunes in sheets of violet fire. The shockwave hit like a train, tearing at the shelter's frame. Rian threw himself against the brace, but the wind didn't take him. It split, spiraling around an invisible dome. Lyra stood at the center of it, singing not words, not notes, something between. Crystals rose from the sand, fusing into a lattice overhead. The storm's violence turned into color, blue and gold rippling across the shield like water under light. Rian stared, unable to look away. You're controlling it, learning it, she said through the glow. The storm is alive. It wants to break, not bend. But you taught me how to bend. He laughed, pure disbelief. That's my line. Together, they reinforced the structure her harmonics with his scaffolds, her song guiding his engineering. When the storm finally burned itself out, the desert lay smooth and reborn. In the middle stood a dome of living glass, breathing faint light, their house, After the storm days passed, Lyra kept building channels for water, sensors for weather, geometric gardens that trapped dew from thin air. Rian documented everything, sending bursts of data to the Nomad's wake orbiting high above. But the signals didn't go unnoticed. One morning, long shadows crossed the dunes. Orignal patrol, craft sleek, silver, humming with hostile curiosity. The same kind of machines that had hunted Lyra. Rian cursed. Company. Lyra stepped forward. They seek the veil. Then they'll find us first, he said, checking his sidearm useless against starship armor. The patrols descended, sand whipping in spirals. A voice blared from the largest ship. Unknown technology detected. Power down and surrender. Rian looked at Lyra. We don't power down. She nodded once. We build. The ground trembled. Crystals erupted around them, weaving into a towering arc. The patrol-fired beams splashed against mirrored glass that bent the light away. Rian rerouted power from his solar field, feeding her lattice. Together they turned the dome into a resonator. The returning wave struck the lead ship like a hammer. Engines shorted. The vessel tumbled into the dunes. The others fled, their own sensors screaming. When the silence returned, Rian slumped against the wall, laughing breathlessly. You were just scared off an army with architecture. Lyra smiled. You taught me to make noise. The departure weeks later, a human retrieval crew arrived. They found Rian alive, his student beside him, and a structure unlike any known engineering on record, half-grown, half-built, humming faintly with energy. The mission leader stared. You fused organic resonance with solid-state design. How? Rian glanced at Lyra, who was studying the sky where her mother had vanished. We listened to each other. Lyra turned to him. Will you leave now? He nodded. They'll want to debrief me for years. Good, she said. Humans learn best when questioned. He smiled. You'll be all right. I will build, she said simply, and others will learn. They stood for a long moment as the shuttle's engine swarmed. Wind caught the edge of the new dome, carrying its song across the plain. It wasn't quite human, wasn't quite alien, it was both. Weaving together like sunrise after storm, Rian looked back once before the ramp closed. Lyra raised her hand in farewell, and the structure behind her glowed brighter, as if echoing his heartbeat. Epilogue, the song of 2 worlds years later. Explorers on Island Vara found a settlement of transparent domes that sang to the wind. Each structure bore markings in 2 scripts, human mathematics and Cathary resonance lines. The settlements produced their own energy, filtered water from the air, and adjusted shape before storms. In the archives they called it the Lyra protocolar fusion of human engineering and alien song. No one ever found Lyra again. But in the recordings, deep beneath the first dome, a voice could still be heard whispering in the harmonics. Teach them to build. Teach them to learn. And far above, orbiting between the twin suns, the human and alien frequencies kept merging, proof that even across galaxies, the best lessons begin with a single sound that doesn't belong, until someone chooses to listen. Years later, when travelers spoke of Island Vara, they didn't talk about the storms or the ruins. They talked about the song of 2 worlds, a melody the wind carried across the plains, born from the domes that sang to each sunrise. They said it wasn't just music. It was a language, part human invention, part Cathari resonance, the sound of 2 species deciding, for once, not to conquer, but to understand. Lyra grew, and others came to learn from her humans. Cathari wanderers from 100 skies. Each learned a simple truth, that building is not about stone or steel or code. It's about leaving something behind that listens. And so, long after the first teacher was gone, the people of Island Vara built in his way, not for power, not for profit, but for connection. The twin suns kept rising, the domes kept singing, and the galaxy, for a little while, remembered that the smallest act of care, teaching one child, building one home, sharing one lesson, can change the song of an entire world.